Hi everyone, Canoopsy here, and it's time to talk about the OnePlus 6 nearly a month later after launch. And spoiler alert, this phone is incredibly great. Now, OnePlus has always been known for ridiculously good phones at ridiculously good prices, and this year it's no different. The phone starts at $529 USD for the base model with 6GB of RAM and 64GB of storage, or $579 USD for 8GB of RAM and 128GB of storage, and that's the model I personally have. And each model actually has the Snapdragon 845 latest and greatest processor, so they're very fast devices. When you compare those prices to any other flagship devices on the market right now with a similar processor or set of specifications, this phone is definitely more affordable with little to no compromise. When you pick up this device with its all glass and metal build, you can't help but notice the amount of quality here. The shape of the phone fits perfectly in your hand with a nice weight, it's beautiful, but it is glass after all. It's kinda slippery, and if you drop it, you're not really gonna be too happy. You can choose one of the official OnePlus cases, which are very well designed, especially the sandstone one, but I changed things up a bit this year and chose a matte black D-brand skin with a red logo accent, and it looks incredible. Now above that logo, the fingerprint scanner is quick and accompanies the face unlock on this device, which uses the front-facing camera. Like last year, it's almost instant, it's incredibly quick, but also like last year, it's not using any sort of dedicated hardware besides the camera and software features, so it's not ultra secure, nor does it work as well as Face ID. But I still use it all the time for just quickly unlocking my phone because you really can't beat it. You're also not losing many of the OnePlus comforts you've come to expect. There's still a headphone jack, tactile buttons, dual SIM tray, and the alert slider. You can slide between ring, vibrate, and silent, and this is a fantastic feature. But there are a few things missing though. There is no full water resistance, just light resistance to water splashes or rain, and as fellow YouTuber Matthew Moan has demonstrated in his water test, a lot of water will damage this phone. There's also no wireless charging, and while there are no stereo speakers, the single speaker is just alright. These are some key features that many flagship phones do have today, but for me, I don't really think they're truly necessary features, especially at this price point you're getting this phone at. One of the things this phone has picked up from many of the flagship phones of this year though, is that front display notch, and to be honest, it hasn't bothered me at all. It's pretty small and the chin is also kinda small, so it's not too terrible. In video mode, you don't see the notch at all when you're watching Netflix or on YouTube, and you can also hide the notch in regular daily usage, but I've left it on. The reduced bezel of this device gives the phone a 6.2-inch 1080p AMOLED display at the same size as the OnePlus 5T from last year, just with more screen and less bezel, so no complaints here. It's bright, it's vibrant, great sharpness at 1080p, and I don't really have any major negatives about this display, but for some people it may just be a bit too big. Maybe one day we'll see a big OnePlus phone and a smaller OnePlus phone that comes available at the same time, but in this case, you're stuck with a bigger device this time around. I've said it before and I'll say it again, but 2018 flagship phones pretty much all feel fast, but this device is incredibly fast. Whether it be just basic things like opening apps or switching apps, multitasking, it's all very quick, and as you'd expect, gaming is flawlessly fast as well. It's a ridiculously quick phone with either 6 or 8GB of RAM, and you're easily going to be impressed with this speed. It's also due to Oxygen OS on Android 8.1, and it's tied with me for the Pixel launcher being the best Android experience. They're both really great versions of Android. And this is because of the overall design, the speed, and some of the useful additions, like the customization of various gestures or the usage of navigation buttons or swiping gestures for using the user interface. I much prefer the new gestures, but they're not really as smooth as the iPhone X, but they are still very well thought out. Other things like gaming mode and reading mode are small but useful, as well as the range of other small tweaks. There's also well-designed OnePlus applications in combination with the cleanliness and consistency of the software itself. Running the whole show, the 3300 mAh battery almost always gives me a full day of usage from 6 AM till around 10:30 at night, ending with around 15% on most days. And this is with my intensive usage of Netflix and YouTube watching, social media check-ins, emails, calls, and especially during this testing period, a lot of picture taking. If I don't use this phone too heavy, I can sometimes make it till noon of the next day, but don't expect any extremely groundbreaking battery life. It will definitely get you through a full day though. Of course, we also have the life-changing dash charging, which I first experienced last year, and it charges your phone up extremely quick. You do need to use the included wall charger and cable to take advantage of this speed, but in my opinion, having this fast charging makes up for the lack of wireless charging easily. Now, one of the things I definitely want to talk about here is the upgraded camera experience coming from the OnePlus 5T. The 5T's main cameras were good, but not super great or outstanding. Here the cameras are 16 megapixels for the main and 20 megapixels for the secondary, both at f1.7 aperture. And that second camera really isn't anything too special though, it's just mainly a depth sensor for portrait mode, and I do sorely miss a telephoto lens. But the main camera here at least has optical image stabilization, with pictures turning out fantastic in many situations. Dynamic range is on point, sharpness is great, and colors are often vibrant and beautiful. A phone at this price with this sheer camera quality is really outstanding. Portrait mode here turns out excellent for a lot of objects and is okay with people too, but it is no Pixel 2 XL. The only weak area for pictures is extreme low light where shots are kind of noisy and grainy and muddy. Selfies with a 16 megapixel front camera are great with good HDR and sharpness. Slow motion video at 480 frames per second in 720p is super cool, and you can actually keep recording for longer than just 6 seconds, unlike the Xperia XZ2 and Samsung Galaxy S9. 4K video up to 60 frames per second is usually quite nice, and the combination of electronic and optical stabilization results in very natural looking, very stable video. The OnePlus 6 is kind of a dream come true. In a world of expensive flagship phones with compromises here and there, the OnePlus 6 comes in and changes everything at a price that is very reasonable for what you get. You're missing really only wireless charging and water resistance, and maybe the camera could be a bit better or the phone might be too big for you, but if I think about it, I can't tell you really any other major negative besides the fact that maybe 6 months from now, the OnePlus 6T will come out and you may be a bit envious. If those things just don't bother you though, they really don't bother me, this is the best high-end phone you can buy at the best price, making recommending any other more expensive phone a bit more difficult. Let me know your thoughts on the OnePlus 6 in the comments down below, subscribe, and thank you for watching.